I am going to call the Anchorage Election Commission to order. It is about 12:05, and I will on January 29th. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. And Barbara Jones, if you could take roll call, please.
Sure. Joyce Anderson.
Here.
Glennis Ireland.
Here.
Suzanne Miles.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, before us we have the minutes of the previous meeting, which would be the Anchorage Election Commission meeting of August 17th, 2018. You want to take a moment to look at it?
Thanks very much to Amy for doing those minutes.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, they're behind here. 5, 6. So just take a moment to look at them. And as you can recall, this is the meeting where we went over all of the ballots that were rejected and reviewed them.
Yep.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented? So moved. Second. Is there a motion that's made and been seconded? Is there any discussion regarding the minutes?
No.
Okay, if there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Minutes are approved from the August 17th, 2018 meeting. Okay, a new business at the meeting today is to nominate a chair and vice chair.
And so the code requires the commission to have an organizational meeting every January before we get started on the election. And the staffer that leads the commission usually starts the nominations. And so I think we're ready to do that. And I will open the nominations for chair.
I would like to nominate Joyce for chair.
Are there any other nominations? The nominations are closed. All those in favor of Joyce Anderson for chair, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I will turn the election of vice chair over to you.
Okay, we now have a vice chair, and as you are aware, the vice chair would sit in the absence of the chair. So are there any nominations for vice chair?
I'd like to nominate Glennis for vice chair.
Okay, we have a nomination for Glennis as vice chair. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of having Glennis as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Glennis, congratulations. Thank you. You are now the vice chair.
It's your turn.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank Joyce for the great work that she did in the past year for us as chair, and
Yes.
also for Suzanne for always being so faithful and doing a good job.
And your team. Thank you. And I echo the same for the two of you as well. It was an interesting year considering it was the first year of vote by mail, and I think that it went quite well under the direction of Barbara Jones and her capable staff, of which one is here today. So I agree with the comments. So thank you.
So I think, Amy has redone your binders. I don't know that some of you, she's got your materials for your binders, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you want to describe that for them, Amy?
Yeah. Since I didn't have your binders, I just went ahead and put it in order. And I can put it in the binders for you and replace the old things before you leave. So the first one, okay. So the first one is just an updated of your attendance sheet. That's the blue. The second one is an updated of the contact information, and this one also has an updated term expires because two of you had your terms expired, Joyce and Suzanne. Your terms expired in October of 2018, so that was renewed. Next one is going to be a calendar for this year. the April 2nd, 2019 calendar. And then because I don't know if you have the updated code and everything, we just went ahead and printed out the chapter 4.05, the appointments, meetings, and procedures. And this goes to the commissions, boards and commissions. And then the last is the title 28, anything that's been updated. I have the date down here. It says 1/24. That's when I printed it. And so then we'll know if it's been updated or not by that date. Okay? And then before you ladies leave, I can go ahead and put that in your binders for you.
Great.
Well, that would be great. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you. Me.
And then
Good job.
Amy, we have these packets.
Oh, yes. So I did not pass those out. You have the stack.
Yeah.
And that is the commission manual. And so I updated a few things on it, just wording. So if you want to check that out, review it.
And we should probably pick a date for your next meeting, and then you can all make some decisions, you know, what you want to do and what role you want to have in the election. We like having you here. We like having you watch and go to our trainings and all of those. I think that's important for the election workers to know that you're here. It's important for me to know that you're here. So these are just this is just your manual for your review. We could set up a work session where you could, you know, if you want to do your edits individually and then come back and go over them at a work session type meeting, we could certainly do that. Or you could do it now. Now probably isn't very good timing.
I would say now is probably not good because I'm the type of person that likes to read the whole thing
Exactly.
and then go back to make sure that it's not covered in another
Yeah.
spot and I'm jumping the gun, so to speak. Yeah, we can certainly set up. I think maybe it would be best if we reviewed and updated and set up another meeting to go over any comments. So I think we should set that meeting date today.
Okay. And if you wanted to just take a look at the calendar, so the big dates that are coming, today is a big day because the Assembly approves the ordinances that are going to go on the ballot. So that's a big day. Filing for office closes on Friday the 1st. That's like this Friday. It's shocking that it's happening so quickly. Amy and I are working with our ballot creator vendor, and that will be done on, we hope the final ballot basis will be done on February 6th. Yeah. So that's like the middle of next week. And then there's a lot of other things that are happening, like getting the voter data. We sent out the postcards to 235,000 voters this year. And we should be mailing on March 12th. So that's the next big date. The ABCs will open on the 25th. And then Election Day is the next week on the 2nd.
May I ask a question? Last year we had fewer than 235, did we not?
No, last year it was
we had
218,000. So a big increase.
So
that's
yeah,
good.
that's balloon.
And that's probably due to the PFD combination because we didn't have that last year because that hadn't been accomplished yet.
I would agree.
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Now,
That's
I
excellent.
have a question. Anybody who's deceased, how do we handle that now? Do we call the state or do we call the city?
Well, it's complicated because we don't have our own database.
Right.
We use the state's
Yeah.
database. So in the 235,000, there were a handful of voters who are deceased. They have a condition code of XX. And so you know that you rejected voters who had a condition code of like felony discharge. They're not eligible to vote. Well, someone who has a condition code XX also isn't eligible to vote unless they can prove that they're not dead. So when we got that data, the code says we do not mail ballot packages to voters in condition code XX, among a couple of others. So if someone dies, like, and the state doesn't know about it, we advise people to notify the state.
Okay.
And then at the polling locations, there's, when you worked at the polling locations, they have the death certificates.
Yeah, we have this green.
And you can fill that out and send it to the state. But my experience is if you tell the state someone has died, the state probably checks the obituaries and then just marks them.
Okay.
Changes the code to XX. But right now, we're not keeping separate track of that. We're just going based on the
Right.
state data.
Yeah, thank you.
My husband and I did receive our postcards.
Good.
Did the two of you receive postcards?
We did.
You did, okay, just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
We received them on the same day, which is,
No, we got 3 of them. They're not-
well, normally, the last time it was separate. I mean, it was like, this was like 3 days later or something. But anyway, same day.
They sent yours first.
Yeah, right. So anyway, 235 postcards, okay. All right.
So that gives you an idea of what our dates are. So I think that the sooner that you could review this, sooner you could set up a meeting and review this, the better.
Well, I am leaving on February 22nd.
So
For a
before
month.
that.
For a month, so we need to do that before that.
Sure.
So that gives us about a little over 2 weeks. So what works for you? Is there a particular day?
No Fridays.
No Fridays?
I am ushering on 2 Tuesdays coming up. This next one, the 5th, and then the following one. So I won't be able to do it then.
And that was Tuesdays, you said?
Yeah, Tuesday the 5th, and then the following Tuesday I'm ushering in the morning.
Okay.
Otherwise I'm fine.
Well, do you want to do it in maybe
Do you
2
wanna-
weeks on a Tuesday? I mean, we could do it on the 14th. Of course, that's Valentine's Day, but that doesn't make any difference.
I've
Okay,
got
me.
a doctor's appointment on.
Okay.
How about Wednesday the 13th?
Sounds good.
We could do it then?
That's fine.
Okay.
Wednesday 13th.
Wednesday, February 13th. At what time works for everybody? Is it-
Anytime.
Anytime.
Anytime that day is fine for me too.
All right.
Whatever
What
suits.
works for you, Barbara?
So Amy, could you check the calendar and then pick a time? I think this is a pretty good time if it works.
Sure, yeah.
So, well, that's what we'll shoot for, and
Okay.
Amy will send a notice. That'll be great, because we'll be done with the ballot by then, so
Yeah.
it'll be good for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, time to be determined. Okay. All right, that sounds good for February 13th. Is there anything else we need to do then, Barbara, prior to the election, other than meeting to review this update?
I don't have anything else. Amy, we have one training, so on our trainings, would you invite the commission to come to the training? And those aren't going to be until March,
Okay.
and we'll just invite you to the trainings.
Okay.
For the state workers, for the state.
Well,
I mean,
they're for all
meeting.
of our workers, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
we have one training for accessible vote center workers. There's a morning and an afternoon training,
Okay.
so you don't have to come to both.
I
But
think that's excellent.
Yeah, good idea.
yeah, and then we'll have one other training for our workers here, and probably some safety training that Amy will do for everybody, and signature verification training. We're working on scheduling that. So we'll just send you an invitation to all of it.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I think it's really good. It makes us, then we understand the entire process even deeper. I
Okay.
appreciate it coming and watching, but this is even better to have the training.
That's true. That's true. Okay, I do have one other question before we go into more like just member comments, because I have a couple things I'd like to say under that. But under the commission, have there been any applications that have been received to add to the commission that you know of?
I do not know that. I
Okay.
admit I was at a public meeting the other day where someone complained to me about the lack of appointments to boards and commissions, and I said, I'm sorry, that's not something I can control, unfortunately. But, Amy, so here's a question. We have election workers. We have workers who've worked for us. We could invite some of them to be on the commission. I have some concern about that because we need them to work.
I feel that, based on my background, I feel that would be a conflict of interest, and I don't think that's a good idea.
Okay, good. So we won't do that.
I just feel that working here and then being on the commission is too intertwined.
Yeah, they
and-
couldn't do both.
Right, well, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, but
okay.
if they had worked for us, so like
Yeah, past tense.
if we haven't hired someone yet for
I
this
see what you're
year,
saying, I missed that part, okay. I thought you-
But it might be better if you say, well, I'll just say this, what about Cindy Hawkins? She isn't coming back. Cindy was was like one of our big leads. She
Right,
did-
I remember her, yes.
Yeah, she was really good.
She had long hair. Okay, I think I do remember her, okay.
Yeah, I have my friend Elaine, who has the paperwork. She's got everything done. She just lost her husband, so that's why I was asking about the deceased
Okay.
thing. But she's got it ready to go, and we're having the celebration of life this Saturday, and after that she'll be able to
Okay,
submit that. And then I have another friend, Mr. Plattner, who's worked out at the Chugiak Senior Center,
Great.
and he was supposed to fill out the paperwork, and whether he's done it or not, I don't know. I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
So
I had
those are-
someone who might be interested, but then she
Two
decided not to.
Yeah.
I guess that my question is, they still have to have worked in a precinct or
Right.
worked as an election worker. Is that still a requirement?
no, it is not. The code was changed
Ah,
this
Okay,
summer.
all right.
that helps.
Okay, that, I wanted to make sure I asked, because that seemed to be what I was having a problem with individuals who I've talked to that might be interested, but they hadn't worked as an election worker. I'll just use the term election worker
Yeah.
for whatever
Yeah.
position. And so I told them then that they would not be eligible.
So the code was changed this summer and they would be eligible.
Good.
Okay, well then I
Excellent.
probably have someone who might be interested, and I
Okay.
can get back to her.
All right.
Awesome, yeah.
So, okay, so you do not.
It
Have
has
to.
some requirements. Do you know, I'll send the new requirements out to you.
That would be helpful, yeah.
I am concerned about the fact that we only have 3, and we have to have 3 for a quorum. And I see on this calendar the April 12th and April 16th. Unfortunately, I will not be here.
Oh.
The 12th and the 16th?
My granddaughter has some court issues, and the court date is April 15th,
Oh, wow.
and it's in Colorado.
We'll have some people in place.
So I don't know if it's possible if I could call in. We are actually leaving on the 10th.
You did a call in for me.
I know, I'm
What?
leaving on the 10th because we have to be there on the 11th for a meeting, and then the court hearing is on the 15th.
So you can call in, like for a meeting like this, you could call in, but I think that when they reviewed that code change and you had an issue this summer for the special election about participating telephonically, you would not be able to participate you can participate, you can listen, but you can't participate because we would be voting on all of these issues.
Right.
And you wouldn't have them.
I know.
I haven't seen them.
No, that's
So,
true.
so the dilemma is the code says the 10 days, so we're kind of stuck with that date. I'm just trying to think if there's any way we could change it. I mean, we could make it on Saturday, which we've done before, but it has to be between Friday and
Right.
Tuesday. Which is just, but what I'd like to suggest, Joyce, is that you participate telephonically, but you just can't vote on these items.
Okay.
But we
It's
do.
unfortunate
need-
that I was in Colorado at the beginning of January, and the court date was postponed.
Yeah.
and they picked the date.
They didn't offer you an
No.
option.
And my granddaughter's mom works for H&R, and she can't leave
Oh, it's
because she's
time.
tax days.
Oh.
You know, so I mean, it's just between this and that, it just, you know, it's just not working.
We'll work it out. We'll have you participate telephonically, but you just won't vote on those items. So instead
Okay.
of showing that it passed 3-0, it'll pass.
But see, then we
Whatever
need another
number we
member
have.
Right.
because
Then it'll have to pass 3-0 to 1. Had to abstain because you didn't have the materials. You know, one of the things that I thought about that, participating telephonically, do you remember on those postmarks?
Yes.
You had the original documents.
Right.
You found errors on
Yes.
those documents by looking at the
No, I
actual
totally agree.
documents.
I totally agree, but I just wanted to let you know
Okay,
that
good. Thank you.
it was sort of out of our control. And,
Amy and I will make that a priority.
okay. 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 And I'm thinking that I might see if they can change the date, but I don't know if they can. I'm going to work on that.
Just,
Colorado.
just out of curiosity, does she have a lawyer?
Yes.
Her lawyer could make a motion to change the date. but,
Right.
I mean, that's expensive to just ask somebody to do that. And you never
Well,
know if it'll be granted, so.
Plus, hopefully, we'll have more members by then.
Okay. All right. Let me work on that when I get home. Okay. I just wasn't sure if it was going to be, because I know one time it was later than the 10 days, but I can't remember why. I don't remember what happened, but I just,
We recertified twice.
okay, maybe that's what it was. Because I remember doing something and I was just in the back of my mind, I was a little confused as to, you know, how that transpired, but we had done something, so. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, well, why don't we, now that we're still under sort of new business, which is dealing with the commission itself, is there anything else that we need to bring up? Otherwise, we can move on to member comments. Is there anything else, Barbara, that we need to talk about under the commission itself? Okay. Well, under member comments, I would like to bring up a couple things, if I may. First of all, we, also today, do we need to disclose any memberships or any conflicts of interest or anything? Are those forms available for us?
The good news about your disclosure of economic interest is that you only have to do it once. You do it within 30 days of your appointment. You used to have to do it annually.
Right.
But now you just have to do it once, 30 days after appointment, or if you acquire an interest in a contract with the municipality.
Okay.
So you or a family member. So if
Okay.
nothing has changed, you're good.
Nothing's changed. Okay. Okay, what I would like to bring up is, as Barbara knows, and I believe the commission knows, I am a member of the League of Women Voters. And we were very active last year in helping promote vote by mail. As a matter of fact, we did 41 presentations throughout the community, which I'm kind of proud of. So we did quite a few. I won't tell you how many I did myself, but quite a few. So anyway, the league board had a meeting, and here's what they would like me to bring up today at the meeting is that, and they wanted me, I talked to Barbara about it, maybe bring it up before the commission and see what their thoughts are as well, is that the league felt that a tour of the election center would be a good idea again. And possibly have it in the evening and have, like little food or whatever as well, which, we would pick up. And we would promote that and, promote that through all of the organizations that we deal with. And, maybe have the Muni promote it if they're in favor of it, but have a tour that we're suggesting and that we would, help with the tour. The league is, not the election commission, but the league would help with the tour. So that was one suggestion.
How could they support it? How would the league be able to help with the tour?
Well, we would help promote it. We would provide
Okay,
the
promote it,
food. We
because
would be
then-
here
yeah.
and just help the clerk's office.
Some of the league members actually led some of the tours.
We did.
And that was fine.
We did.
too,
We
so-
did. So we actually did some tours
I
last year.
think it's an excellent idea.
The concern was is that we went from vote by mail to precinct voting, and now we're going back to vote by mail. And sometimes people get confused, even though they
They
get their
do.
ballot in the mail.
They
You know,
do.
versus going to the precinct. The second thing is that the league thought they would offer their services again if there were any targeted outreach communities or targeted places that needed anything to do with vote by mail, because we did so many presentations last year, we would be willing to do that again. So that was something else that the league would offer.
Yeah, I have a question. Is there any way that you can identify specific precincts that were weak in response on the vote by mail?
Well, you could.
I mean, that would help you. That might give you some insight as to what you need to target.
Right. We're just offering our services if you feel you get a request from a particular either community group or
Right, okay.
maybe another community council or whatever. I know that your staff this year is a lot less than last year because last year was the first year, and so you had all this influx of people coming in to make sure everything worked, and I'm assuming your staff is going to be less.
It is.
Okay. So we would offer our services if that was necessary, to go out into the community. So, okay.
It's an awesome organization. Yeah.
And then the third thing is that we had a PSA that our coordinator of our youth vote program that's connected with the league had put together last year that was really cute. And we are going to be putting that out again through tweaking and re-releasing it and putting it on, our stuff.
Great.
And it was a PSA that was a 30-second PSA, and it had to do about voting in your slippers, like being at home and voting. It was aimed at youth.
Vote at home.
For
Okay.
youth, So anyway, they wanted us to mention that we will be putting that out again as well. So I don't know if the Muni would be interested in providing a link to that or how you do that or whatever, but that's it's going, not right now, but it's going to be out there. They're going to be putting it out, I guess, this week. So anyway, those were the things that I wanted to bring up, that the League of Women Voters who feels very passionate about encouraging and making sure when everyone has the opportunity and the right to vote. So those are the things that came up.
So, Joyce, could I address and make some comments about those?
Sure.
So, we are grateful that the league is helping us. They're a critical part of Anchorage elections. We are getting the old stakeholders group back together, and the stakeholders group was about 50 or so people. And so the stakeholders group should be, and Anna Campione, who worked on education and outreach last year with Carolyn Hall, is working for us this year. She started in October. She's doing our Facebook page right now.
Oh, okay.
And so Anna will be setting up that meeting for the stakeholders in early February.
Okay.
So, or maybe mid-February might be more accurate. She'll set it up in early February for a mid-February meeting. Okay, and so all of the stakeholders will be invited, and we'll be sure to invite the commission. I'll add that to my list. Okay, so that'll be one part of that. So I think Anna's looking to gather some ideas to implement. So some of the items that you suggested are good ideas, both for the targeted outreach and the tour and the PSA. So we'll make sure that we have links, that you have our logo, vote by mail, or anything that you need. As far as the tour in the evenings, I just had a thought. They do First Fridays.
Oh,
That's such a good idea.
So
Yeah.
people, and then the other one is this little building down here is called Community Works, I think, and they have some, they have sewing machines and you can come and sew, or you can come down. Do you know that building just
No,
down
I'm not
a little
familiar
ways?
with
Or you can make stained glass or something like
heard
that.
of it,
So,
but haven't-
yeah, but it's just down the road a ways, and it's got that, like a gear on the side of the building.
Oh, I have
Yeah.
seen that. I
Yeah.
have seen that.
Makers something. Is that it? Anyway.
I've seen it, but I didn't know what it
Yeah.
was.
So either we could target some evenings that they're meeting, so there's people already down here in Ship Creek, or we could do First Friday. And then that could be kind of fun. And we'd have two February and March. We probably can't get ready for February because that's this Friday, but we could certainly do the March First Friday.
Okay.
And we could do second and third Friday too.
They also have last Friday meetings
Yeah, we
in some
can.
places.
Yeah. And we'd have to get the word out,
Right.
you know, because I've had a lot of people ask about that, and I've suggested, but not known any times really. No, that's a very good idea, Barbara.
So I'll send Anna an email and remind her to invite the commission, and I'll give her Joyce's ideas. And I've already told Joyce that Anna would be in touch with her about this meeting. And I'll add the First Friday suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, I had one other comment too. The League of Women Voters did set up a meeting with the Lieutenant Governor. So we had a meeting with the Lieutenant Governor a couple weeks ago. And we wanted to know what his plan was for moving forward with, you know, anything to do with vote by mail on a statewide level. And he is, from the discussion, I could say 99.99% he's going to have the election policy work group get together. That was my feeling from the meeting. Gail Fuanami, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Funumii, there we go, is back as Director of Elections.
Oh.
So she was before Josie. So she has come back, and it was only her second day, and so she was still in Juneau. But we did have a nice meeting with him, and he had some concerns about vote by mail, which we talked a little bit about, the Muni one. And Josh Appleby, his chief of staff, was with him. I know both Josh and Kevin because I worked with them at the legislature.
Oh, good.
So
Good.
I think that's probably why we got to meet with them, because I put my little note in there. Yes, I am the Joyce that you used to work with at the legislature when we asked to meet with him. But anyway, he was very receptive, and we talked about some of the things with the Muni. You know, how, and that I'm on the election commission as well, so I made that clear as well. And but he seems very receptive for that. I wasn't sure what his plan was going to be, because I thought I had read something that he wasn't sure it was a good idea at some point, or somebody told me. So anyway, but so I just want to say that it sounds like they'll get that back together. And our big concern, the league's big concern was, and I think it would be something that the Muni could jump on, or at least keep aware of, is that our big concern was that legislation needs to be passed this year, at least enabling the state to conduct a vote by mail. Right now they can't do it because of legislation that says that they can't conduct a statewide election on vote by mail. So we kind of pushed the fact that if any legislation was to be passed, that would be the one piece of legislation that we felt would need to be done in order to allow them to even move forward with some trial areas for vote by mail. We suggested trial areas, you know, not the whole state. So the league kind of came up with some ideas regarding that. He seemed to be favorable about trying to get some legislation changed. So we will sort of keep tabs on that with him, so to speak.
Could I make a comment about that? I think the whole vote by mail process is going to be difficult for the state to do this year. But I
Oh,
can
yeah.
tell you one piece of legislation that would change everything. We need the state to allow a permanent absentee list.
I believe that came up during the discussion.
So simple. It is so
What is that?
simple. So have you ever gotten an absentee by mail ballot when we
Yes.
were poll-based? Okay. So to get an absentee ballot, you have to fill out an application to get an absentee ballot.
Yeah.
Every year,
Oh.
every election,
Oh, that's a pain.
right?
Yeah.
So you're a snowbird, you're always in Arizona, you fill it out this
That's a
year,
great idea.
you always get your ballot in Arizona.
It's a very good.
Or, guess what? I live in West Anchorage and I can fill out a permanent absentee list, so I always get my ballot in the mail. And that would possibly, and it's what happened in the lower 48 in Washington or Oregon. One of those states was over 75% permanent absentee when they went to vote by mail. So it's a transitional
Sure.
step. And the one thing that I particularly like about it is that there's a lot of concern about vote by mail in rural Alaska.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And one of the questions that I have, well, wouldn't that be interesting, like you're talking about a pilot project, how rural Alaska would participate if they could have permanent absentee.
That'd be
So
great.
my take is that might be a baby step. It's a very simple change in the statute, but it would make a light year of difference.
Well, I did not follow up with a letter after the meeting. I thought I would wait till after this meeting before we followed up with the letter, because we were going to do a follow-up letter with Kevin, Lieutenant Governor Kevin Meyer, and I have not sent that yet. So, because we wanted to make sure that we were going to push to try to get, at least allow the state on a trial basis, to maybe do a particular, or allow Anchorage to do vote by mail, for instance, which would be a trial basis again. So I can add that in there about a permanent absentee list. I'll run it by the board, of course, first.
Okay.
But, I think that's a good, I believe that came up, but it probably wasn't on my radar at the time, I'm pretty sure. We met with him for an hour and talked about a lot of things.
I can tell you two other things. I do know that I saw a bill that was introduced by Senator Begich that I thought needed a lot of work. I made comments on
An
the,
election bill
a vote by mail. It was,
last year.
no, it was this year.
It was introduced this year already?
Right.
I haven't followed that. Okay.
So I made some comments on that. I'll just give you an example that they cited a section of Anchorage Code, I believe it was 28.110, and 28.110 is repealed. And it's called Special Elections by Mail. But it was repealed in 2017. And the bill said that in Anchorage vote by mail, you have to have attestation on the envelope. Different than other jurisdictions where they verify signature. So the premise of the bill was incorrect. That was one thing that I heard. So I think that it needs so much work, and that I don't think that is going to pass. And then I also heard, I think some of you know that Dennis Wheeler has been hired by the state.
Right, that, he came up in the discussion as well.
And did they tell you what had happened with that proposal?
No, they just told me that the election policy work group that was set up had hired Dennis Wheeler. Was that last year?
I don't think the election policy work group.
Well,
was
through
hired,
them,
right.
I mean, but
But
that,
the Division of Elections hired.
right, that's what
Okay.
I meant.
So I think my understanding is that the recommendations from, well, I don't know exactly what they've made. I haven't seen any recommendations, but that it's not going forward.
Okay, as I said, Gail had just been hired the day before.
Right.
He was looking into the election policy work group. It was all sort of this was before he went to Juneau. We tried to meet with him before he
Yeah.
went to Juneau, so it was earlier in January. So
Yeah.
he was still looking at everything. But I know Dennis's name came out during the discussion.
Yeah. And he's continuing to be a project manager because the state has to do something, right? They have to replace the AccuVote machines.
Right.
So they have to
Oh, and
do
did you know that
something.
the AccuVote machines were not purchased new?
Really?
Oh, no.
Even 20 years ago? When
20
they
years
bought
ago, they were purchased. I have it in my notes at home.
heavens.
It's an M state. I'm sorry, it's either Maine or Massachusetts, but I can't remember which
It
one.
wasn't Minnesota.
No, it wasn't Minnesota. I knew that for sure because that's where I'm from. It was Maine or it was up in that corner, up over in that area, but Maine or Massachusetts, and they were purchased used. So they're not 20 years old. They're older than 20 years old. I was floored when I heard that during the discussion.
Well, they got rid of
No
them.
wonder they don't work.
Well, they're
And do you know
not
what they
gonna-
said now that they
No,
order?
I'm saying that's why Maine or Massachusetts
Yes,
got rid of
right.
them because
They
were
order
flawed.
parts off of eBay,
Good.
Oh
Well,
my God.
I gave them parts,
and they order parts off eBay
right?
too.
Because there are no parts.
Right. They're that's what they do. But they were
So
they
they
were
ordered
they were
parts.
used when we bought them.
Right.
Oh man.
So something new that I didn't know.
So a decision has to be made, but the question is, what will that decision be? And I think it's a hard decision to go to vote by mail. But I think, I think inertia and the huge, I think they've waited too long, is just my opinion.
Yeah.
It's a
Well-
crisis now, so it's easier in a crisis to just replace the equipment. And
Well, and that's what came up because that's why the league was kind of pushing for them to just, if anything, if they just change, and the permanent thing I like, but to just change the law to allow the state to do it in a statewide election on a trial basis, because you've done it. The Kenai does vote by mail for some of the Kenai.
some of their precincts.
Yes, some of the Kenai, what do you call them, boroughs or munis, whatever they use the
Well,
word down
it's
there,
the-
use the vote by mail in their muni elections or their borough elections, whatever we're
It's a
calling
borough,
them.
I believe.
Yeah,
The
I don't
borough
know.
has several precincts that are vote by mail only because of the distance and the difficulty getting election workers. So they are by mail only.
I know one of the city clerks that was at a league meeting that we had down in Soldotna 2 years ago said that they conducted theirs vote by mail.
Johnny Blankenship.
Yes, yes. I mean, if I heard the name, I know who it is. So what we were pushing was to try to allow the state to do that maybe on, I don't know if you think that's good, but to work on that trial basis, let's say here and there and, wherever. Not necessarily so much, I know the rural areas have a lot of different components and so forth. But I like the idea of a permanent absentee list too, because then people would be getting.
That'd be great.
So anyway, we met with him and he was receptive and, like I said, we haven't put a follow-up letter together yet, but we are going to be following up. And I'll be drafting it, so I'm going to put something in there about him. Just want to let you know we did meet with him though.
Good.
So question, are we going to is Dennis going to be replaced then?
Well, as he works for RDI, and his company RDI was hired by the state, and he still works for me. He has
Okay.
several jobs.
Okay, well that's
He's
good
nice.
because
Yeah.
he's so knowledgeable. I
Yeah.
hate to lose that.
No, he still has a contract with
Okay,
us.
awesome.
Yeah.
Good, thank you.
They did want to hire him as an employee, but he said no.
Well, that was my member comments, which took up a little bit, but I felt I needed to share that with,
I
kind of
think
let you know what
good.
what I'm sort of doing, not as an election commission member, but on the side in the way for. Okay. Any other member comments?
I have none.
You said it all.
Okay.
Madam Chair, you did remind me of one other thing that
Okay.
I wanted to tell you about, is the Matsu Borough Assembly and the Anchorage Assembly have a joint meeting Thursday here at the election center. So the meeting starts at 11. They meet from 11 to 2 or something like that. But the borough asked for a tour of the election center at 10 a.m. So they'll be here at 10 for a tour. If you'd like to join us, you certainly may.
This Thursday?
Yeah,
10 a.m. is Tuesday.
yeah. So
I'm sorry, I won't be here. I'll be in Juneau.
So I just wanted to point out that although we're talking about the state, remember Matsu is probably the next most populous, if not growing faster than Anchorage. And so the borough, we have been in discussions with them about using the election center. Their elections are in October. So it could be interesting if we could work with the borough, and then the borough it would be probably not just the borough, but the borough, City of Palmer, City of Wasilla, and City of Houston. So that's what we've been talking about.
So it would be Palmer, Wasilla, and Houston?
Well, the borough obviously encompasses all of them. But
Right, so I'm a little confused what you say about the borough and.
Okay, so what I've been told is that, they have a borough clerk.
Right.
And then city clerks for all of those. So there's a bunch of clerks out there and a bunch of governments. But what they said is if the borough goes to vote by mail, they're all going to vote by mail. So that's why
So there's borough elections and city elections? Okay, I got to get that straight in my head.
Entities.
in October.
Again, I'm just,
Yeah.
since we didn't have boroughs where I came from, I'm still trying to, even though I've been here for 20 years, I'm trying to still wrap that around my head. Okay.
County and city, so
Got it,
it'll just be
okay.
the separate.
Okay, got it.
So, in any event, we're meeting with the borough, and we're going to be talking about vote by mail and possibly using the election center for their elections this Thursday.
Yeah. I don't know if I can be there or not. I am trying to beat a deadline for some of my show so.
Okay,
Sorry.
it's a tour, and it's their tour, so it's okay. I just wanted to make sure you were
Really
invited.
interesting too.
Yes.
For them, I think it would be an eye-opener to make this exposure. Yeah.
I think it'd be great, yeah.
I mean, that might be a step in the right direction for
It's-
the state. being-
Exactly. To move forward.
It's kind of sideways.
Yes,
but
right,
I think
right.
You're right. It will move
Yes.
us forward.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
a large population area, and they're very vocal.
Absolutely.
So,
yes,
It's like
yeah.
Eagle River. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from either the commission or our city clerk or Amy? And we have no public here. I didn't hear that. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
Motion to adjourn, and it is 12. What time is that over there?
12:50.
53.
12:53. Okay. All right. Okay, the commission is adjourned.